Welcome to the podcast summary of Magdalena Neuner. Today's story is about a career that still feels a little unreal when you line it all up. Lena Neuner arrived in biathlon at full speed, won almost immediately, spent years doing things that didn't seem mathematically sensible, and then walked away at 25 while she was still the best in the world. What makes her so interesting isn't just the medal count, even though that part is huge. It's the mix of overwhelming talent, very public vulnerability, and a very clear personal limit that she refused to let other people define for her. Neuner became the youngest overall World Cup winner in IBU history at 21, which is already wild on its own. She got there only about 2 years after her World Cup debut and her first senior-level victory, so this wasn't a slow build where everyone could see the throne coming. It was more like the sport looked up one day and she was suddenly in charge. Her first senior world championships in 2007 were the real announcement. At age 20, she won the sprint, the pursuit, and the relay, and became the youngest triple world champion. Then the rest of the career, even though it only lasted 7 seasons, turned into one of the biggest resumes the sport has seen. 34 individual World Cup wins, 63 individual podiums, 3 overall titles, 2 Olympic gold medals, and 12 World Championship golds. That last number is especially striking because it's the most World Championship golds ever won by a woman in the sport. 7 seasons, and somehow it reads like 3 full careers stitched together. A lot of biathletes live and die by balance. You need speed, but you also need clean shooting, because every miss costs you badly. Neuner had balance in a very unusual way, because her skiing speed was so extreme that it could cover for mistakes that usually end a race on the spot. In 66 of her 151 individual World Cup races, she posted the fastest course time. That's 44% of the time. And in 77% of those races, she was among the 3 fastest skiers. That kind of edge changes the whole shape of competition. She could miss shots, ski extra penalty loops, and still be right there. She won races despite skiing 3 extra loops. She finished second in Conti-Mensisk after 5 loops. She took third in Oberhof after 6 missed targets. 6 misses is usually the sort of thing that gets you a long, reflective evening and maybe a stare into the middle distance for her. It could still end in a podium. The clearest example of that imbalance came in the 2007-08 season when she won the overall World Cup with 73% shooting accuracy, the lowest figure ever recorded for an overall winner at that time. That number tells you everything about how terrifying her ski speed was. Most athletes need clean shooting to unlock victory. Neuner could sometimes brute force the result anyway. Of course, that same imbalance also made her career feel permanently tense, because everyone knew where the danger lived. Her prone shooting was excellent at 88% across her career. Her standing shooting was 67%. And that gap was so dramatic that it was widely treated as a psychological issue more than a technical one. And because it happened in public, and because she was already famous, every wobble became its own little national conversation, which is probably not ideal if the problem is mental pressure in the first place. The most famous collapse came at Antholz in January 2009. She led the mass start by 53.6 seconds after hitting her first 15 shots cleanly, then missed all 5 targets in the final standing stage and fell to 6th. She later called it the total end of the world, and even if that's athlete language in a raw moment, you can hear how brutal it felt. What stands out is that she didn't just try to outski the issue forever. She worked with a psychologist and used mental concentration techniques, and the standing accuracy did improve. In 2008, it was 60%. By 2011, it had climbed to 75%. That's still not turning biathlon into a calm spa day, but it is real progress under a very bright spotlight. After that 2007 breakthrough, Neuner became one of Germany's most popular female athletes almost overnight. By the end of that year, she had earned an estimated 1.3 million euros in sponsorships and endorsements. That kind of rise sounds glamorous from a distance, but it also meant constant media attention and a level of public ownership that athletes rarely ask for. Her 2008-09 season was especially difficult. Illnesses played a role, but so did the weight of expectation. And she later said the psychological strain became so severe that she briefly considered retiring. She even reduced her media appearances, which makes sense. If every miss gets replayed as a personality test, a little distance starts to look pretty healthy. The pressure showed up again around the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. She won 2 gold medals, which should have been the uncomplicated happy ending version of the story. Instead, after those wins, she withdrew from Germany's relay because of mental exhaustion. That decision became a major controversy in German coverage. What's interesting is how that episode aged. She was eventually awarded a Fair Play Medal for team spirit, which says a lot about how her choice came to be understood. At the time, it challenged the idea that elite athletes are supposed to keep going, simply because the public wants one more performance. She drew a line around what she could actually give. Part of Neuner's appeal was that her story never felt detached from where she came from. She grew up in Walgau, a Bavarian village of roughly 1,400 people, and stayed closely associated with it all through her career. That local grounding mattered in Germany, especially because biathlon draws unusually big television audiences there. So her rise wasn't just athlete becomes famous. It was small village athlete becomes a national fixture. At the 2010 Olympics, her mass start victory drew 9.75 million German viewers, with a 31.5% market share. That is a lot of people spending their day emotionally negotiating every shot. She also pushed back on the tidy public image built around her. The media had this little sweet Lena version ready to go, and she didn't just sit inside it. A lingerie campaign became one visible way she challenged that packaging. At the same time, she was also known for knitting, which she said helped her relax during travel and competition. That combination is part of why she stayed so vivid as a public figure. She was marketable, yes, but not especially easy to flatten into one simple type. Then came the choice that still gets people talking. On the 18th of March 2012, Neuner retired at 25. She did this right after winning her 3rd overall World Cup and the best single season of her career for victories, with 10 race wins, including 8 of 10 sprints. So this was not a fading champion trying to get out before the results got sad. She was still dominant, maybe more than ever. Her explanation was pretty direct. She lacked motivation and wanted a normal life. That sounds simple, but in elite sport, it lands almost like a rebellion. There's so much pressure to keep going if you're still winning, as if success creates an obligation to remain available until the machine is fully done with you. She didn't buy that logic. She left when her own sense of completion said she was finished, not when outside opinion gave permission. And honestly, that may be one of the most remarkable things about her career. The medals are easy to count. Knowing when enough is much rarer. Lena Neuner's career holds together because all of it matters at once. The impossible speed, the missed shots, the pressure, the fame, and the decision to stop on her own terms. She was one of the sport's brightest stars, but she never pretended brightness had no cost. That clarity might be as memorable as any finish line photo. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.